Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this broadcast of the Hoops League Association Primetime Basketball on Hoops League TV. I'm your commissioner and lead commentator, Cyclopsing, and I'm joined in the booth once again by Assassin and by Salty Shades Assassin Jason Garcia on Boston and Salty Shades Caleb White on Atlanta as we see the New York Empires, fresh off a 3-game win streak, taking on the St. Louis Archers, who have won 3 of 4 in St. Louis in a potential 1-2 matchup for the Eastern Conference. Although we should give our props to Chicago, currently atop the conference at 10-2. Well, Salty, I don't know that anybody really expected Chicago to be as good as they are this year. In fact, most people expected New York to be in their place. So let's focus on them. New York started season 3-5. They've won 3 in a row. Granted, their competition has not been the strongest during that time. Wins over Vancouver and Houston are perhaps not the best teams in the league. But do you think they've turned the corner?
I truly think this is a new era for New York basketball with collecting some of Miami's core from that championship last season within Eddie Dale and Anthony Bridges, along with bolstering their core within the draft. I think this is a new era for New York, and they can surely work with whatever they have now.
And you mentioned Anthony Bridges, fresh off winning Player of the Week honors for the league. Assassin, you've played against him most all of your career, really. Had a couple high-profile playoff battles against him when you were with Boston. He was with Miami. Can you talk a little bit about the impact he makes on the game?
Well, I think we all know what kind of impact Anthony Bridges makes on the game. I doubt I would say anything that anyone hasn't said before, but he is fantastic. He is an offensive demon, and when you are looking at the matchup that you've got to play the next day, the next week, that one's circled because you know that you've got to do some extra preparation for him. So for New York to have started the season 3-5 was very disappointing. I think that we all agree upon that. So this, in my opinion, is a must-win game just for them to kind of get their own confidence and say, yeah, we can beat these high-profile teams because, as you mentioned, their 3-game win streak, maybe not against the strongest, but that is certainly no fault of Anthony Bridges, averaging nearly 22 points per game.
He certainly has been fantastic as always. St. Louis will try to slow him down, and they'll try to do that with a bit of a new look squad. 2 former Boston Charm players actually in the starting lineup here for St. Louis. Tone Show and Pippi, particularly Tone Show, will be tasked with defending Anthony Bridges, and we know Tone Show is one of the best defenders in the league. Salty, do you think he can contain Anthony Bridges, or if not contain him? Is that matchup the key to winning this game for St. Louis, do you think?
Tuncho has always been one of the greater defenders in the league. He's a notable defense action. Oh my gosh. He's a notable figure when it comes to the all defensive side of the league. And if he can chain Anthony Bridges to a smaller side of the scoring, I think that could shift the way to St. Louis winning the game.
For sure. So, St. Louis, one last thing before we get going here, led by veteran point guard Joey Bass, who very nearly won Player of the Game, Player of the Week honors last week over Bridges, and he has really been fantastic this year. Career highs in points scored, assists, 3-point percentage, and steals. Assassin, you played with him. Do you think Joey Bass is really capable now, the way he's playing, of being the number one point guard on a championship team?
Well, I think he's always been capable, but we are talking about the regular season, and St. Louis has always been rather decent in the regular season, especially last year, notably. I applaud him. He's been great this season, no denying that, and I would not take anything away from him. But I would love to see that same energy come to the postseason.
And that energy is going to be needed. Of course, St. Louis lost in 7 games despite being heavily favored over the Chicago Blues. Have yet to win a playoff series in their franchise history. Joey Bass yet to win a playoff series in his history, 0-3 up to this point. But this game will have a playoff energy, as New York and St. Louis meet a potential playoff matchup between two teams in the Eastern Conference here. Take a look at the starting lineups. It's Tao Gibb and Guy Chug for New York. Anthony Bridges, as we mentioned, at the 3 with Xavier Sevenade, the former small forward, shifted over to the 4. And Eddie Dale, the man in the middle. Then for St. Louis, it's Joey Bass and Tyler Gaines. Tone Show joins Big Pippy and the former Boston teammate front court there, and it's Pierre Brodeur, one of the leading contenders for Defensive Player of the Year, at the 5. As we get started here, New York, St. Louis. Great HLA basketball coming your way.
You can already feel the energy in the arena.
All right, I have to back it up here, having some technical difficulties as the video player seems to be malfunctioning on my end. See if it works itself out. Ah, there we go. So it's New York winning the tip, and Anthony Bridges will put one up and knock it down right away.
That's an old defensive caliber center. You know, when I think about Anthony Bridges, I think that guarding that man, I say it's 50% talent and 50% luck.
St. Louis will have to hope for some luck. They don't get luck on that three-point attempt as Joey Bass rims one out. At the other end, it's Bridges. Pocket look. It's too easy for him. Gets that screen from Dale and rolls off it. Joey Bass at the other end, though, able to eat up the score. 5 quick points for him.
Love to see the aggression from Bass. He knows that he's a star in this league. He's willing to go toe-to-toe with Bridges. And they're going to need that as Anthony Bridges, a second 3. 8 points already for him.
Indeed, as now Gaines able to get going, and he's the unsung superstar of this team. Gaines leading St. Louis in scoring. Anthony Bridges leading everybody in scoring. He's got all 11 of the New York's points, but man, is it back and forth early. Bridges, another one. He got it again. 14 in under a minute. My goodness.
3-point barrage out here. As we see Pippy going behind the screen, his three-pointer, no, Eddie Dale will get the rebound.
Bridges finally misses on one. He hits 5 shots in a row to start the game. Meanwhile, Tyler Gaines rims one out to the other end. And it's 14-11 after a minute. Anthony Bridges, another miss there. This is Pippy who's able to knock one down, so we're even back up at 14. Anthony Bridges again. Now 3 misses in a row after 5 makes to start the game. And Assassin, they do have to be careful for Anthony Bridges not to shoot himself out of this early game barrage as he knocks down one there. I guess he heard me.
Timeout for St. Louis.
You know, Bridges, that was the luck part of defending him we saw there, those 3 misses. But we're going to need to see a little bit more of the talent part, I would say.
Certainly, as he's now guarded by second-year player Lionel Felicio, who spent last year in the G League. Kicks it out, though, curiously, to Hutchinson, who puts up a tough shot over Brodeur. And Felicio will grab the rebound. 3:20 to go here in the first as Felicio takes it the other way. St. Louis holding on to a 1-point lead. Make it 3 as Felicio knocks down the mid-range J. And Bridges at the other end says, give me more of that matchup. Butters that one.
You know, as good as Anthony Bridges is, and he's got all 19 of their points, I would Anderson a 3, step back, good shot for him. I would encourage New York to try to find some offense in multiple guys. I mean, Bridges another 3.
They're not finding offense from everybody else, but they don't need to. He's got all 22 of their points so far. This is unbelievable.
I am misspoken. I just don't think that down the stretch you can beat this St. Louis team with one man.
Anthony Bridges is endeavoring to find out. Eddie Dale gets a block there, and Clement Hamill on the rebound. Guess who has the ball for New York? Guess who puts it down? Anthony Bridges, 25 points. New York may not need anybody else, but they're getting help on the defensive end as Jeremy Jr. grabs that one away from Jack Cole. Jr. with the ball, fixing to take a step back and take a shot, and he can't hit. A rebound goes to Dale, who kicks it back to Jr., and that mid-range jumper is good. So it takes over 2.5 minutes for New York to get anyone to score besides Anthony Bridges, and yet they're up by 5. Incredible.
I'll tell you this, if New York gets another bucket from Bridges on this possession, I want that timeout from St. Louis. I know they already used one of them, but...
Hutchinson on a stack, he knocks it down. New York on a 7-0 run here. Anderson had the previous step back 3 make. Now he gets stuffed again. Eddie Dale with another block. Hutchinson couldn't hit that one. Carey Edwards on the glass. And this is Felicio attacking the rim. Slipped by Bridges. Wow. Really made the veteran defender look silly on that one. Bridges on the wing. That time no good. Still 9 of 13 on the day. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but my goodness.
I mean, he's been absolutely dominant. What I liked the switch of Brodeur onto him, though. That's a good. I would try to do that as much as you can. Jeremy Jr. a sidestep, and he gets that one to go from deep 2-point range.
Anderson has 5 off the bench for St. Louis. He'll give to Jack Cole, who's unable to hit the rookie 0 for 2 with a turnover so far. Meanwhile, Eddie Dale able to get one to go, and New York's lead back up to 7. This is Felicio.
It looks like the rookies aren't having a really good game, as Hutchinson only has hit 1 shot, and both of Jack Cole's shots haven't gone. As Bridges will shoot a free, that's off. Eddie Dale, the offensive rebound, kicks out to Jerami Jr., and he'll hit a 3.
How about an assist from the center? Eddie Dale, less than 100 career assists, but he gets one on that play.
St. Louis is really letting this game slip by them as Jeremy Jr. can't hit that 3. Rebound goes to Pierre, but you're going to need to see more aggression from Seattle, and they're going to need to do it very quickly because I can tell you one thing, Bridges' killer mentality is not slowing down.
Certainly isn't. He's been on fire since practically the game started as Tao Gibb knocks that one down. Bridges still
also worth
over...
mentioning he hasn't stepped off the court.
Indeed. Could play a role later in the game as Jack Cole gets a block. How about the rookie stepping up on Anthony Bridges? Finally stuffs one. Bass missed a shot. Cole grabs the rebound. And Cole puts this one up. No. 0 for 3 from the rookie. 7-8,
You gotta love the confidence of him, but he can't get that to go as Joey Bass from 3. He got it at the buzzer.
Joey Bass cannot hold for that final shot.
Indeed, 7-8 with the mental error, and St. Louis big momentum swing there to cut it to 5. But it's incredible that they're only down 5 after that barrage by Anthony Bridges to start this game. But that's where we find ourselves, 38-33 at the break. New York with the advantage. Crazy three-point shooting from these two teams, a combined 15-26. This is a high percentage lead, but Assassin, this is a little high even by our standards.
Well, it certainly is. But if there's a team that can certainly do it, it's a team with Anthony Bridges and Joey Bass and Tyler Gaines. Look, these guys are gonna love those perimeter shots, and they're gonna go down. The question is going to be if anyone else can step up from New York, because as good as Anthony Bridges is, all the props in the world to him. I just don't see a world in which this St. Louis team, which was a top seed in the East last year, is expected to be a top seed in the East this year, is going to allow one player to beat them on his own. Not to mention the fact that he didn't miss a single minute in that first half. He might be a little bit more tired in the second half.
Indeed, in New York, only 2 timeouts left as they used one at the end there. It could be tough to get Bridges some rest. Interesting thing in this box score, New York, 10 assists, despite Bridges putting on the one-man show. Salty, the importance of passing, do you think it's pronounced in this game, or are those assist numbers just a bit inflated?
I do think those assist numbers might be a little bit inflated due to Anthony Bridges' absolute barrage of scoring. But really, other than that, they've been pure basketball.
Certainly, and only a combined 5 defensive actions on the day from these two teams. 2 blocks for New York to St. Louis's 1. Interesting for a team that has 3-time Defensive Player in the Year on it for New York in Eddie Dale, and St. Louis may get a Defensive Player of the Year in Pierre Brodeur, but boy, they haven't looked it so far today. Look at the box score here. Bridges, of course, with 25 in that first half. Just unbelievable. Jeremy Jr. with 7 off the bench for New York. And for St. Louis, it's Joey Bass who has 10 leading the way. Tyler Gaines with 9. But also 7 important bench points from Jared Anderson in that first half. Kept them in the game.
Yeah, you want to see that from somebody off the bench. And so for Anderson to take that role, it's great. The question will be, though, I think on their starters, it's going to have to be Bass and Gaines that win this game the way that Bridges is playing. Because though I did mentioned he might be tired in the second half. I would not count on it if I was in that St. Louis locker room. So if one man's going to try to beat you, then your star players are going to have to go out there and beat him.
And we'll have to see if they're able to do that in this second half as we get started here. St. Louis with the ball out of the break. And it's Tyler Gaines on a wing shot, no good. Guy Chung on the rebound. Very quiet half from Guy Chung. Didn't even take a shot for New York. Tao Gibb had a quiet half in his own right. 2 points, 3 assists so far. He'll kick this one out to Dale. Mid-range jumper, no. Not really his shot. Bass on the rebound. Gaines at the other end, knocks it down, and just like that, incredibly, it is a 2-point game.
Well, if you're... Oh, a huge block there. But it is
Dale on the
recovered on
rebound.
the
7-8.
forward in New
Eddie
York.
Dale with 2 assists on the day for New York. And Dale now with a
And a
block.
block.
And a rebound.
Oh, Dale over off the other end. Bridges. Shot over Brodeur. It goes. 27 points for Anthony Bridges, and it's back up to 6.
Picking up where he left off is 2 points in this second half. Probably won't be his last. Eddie Dale, meanwhile, 3 assists on the day from Eddie Dale. How about that? Career high, and the game not even over as Gibb misses on that one. Rebound 1 to Brodeur, and Brodeur is going to get this one at the other end on the lob. Cuts it to 4 with 4 minutes to go. Bridges wing here. Looking for that step back shot. Too much space. Too easy. 29 from him. Pippi
misses. He gets his own rebound, but Xavier plucks it loose as Bridges will go down, shoots it over
Anthony Bridges, 31. You might need to check the record book. Sham Morant probably feeling a bit sweaty as Pippi able to get this alley-oop, but Sham Morant set the all-time scoring record earlier this year with 57. Anthony Bridges has plenty of time to come for that. New York's lead back up to 8 off the alley-oop. This is Bass over to Brodeur. Contested shot, got stuffed, got his own rebound, kicks it back to Bass. Bass again to Brodeur. And he's stuffed again by Dale. He forces the shot clock violation. Great defense.
That is a DPOI right there. Stephen gets his own rebound. Oh, Pippi blocks him at the rim.
And at the other end, Gaines, it's good. Big momentum shift. New York could have gotten a double-digit lead there, but Gaines instead cuts it to 5. Big block there, too, by Pippi, Big Pippi. And at the other end, Gibb, stuffed by Brodeur. Suddenly, St. Louis with signs of life. Gaines, step back mid-range. Butter. 3-point game. 2:48 to go. Now, Guy Chung.
Doug's first shot of the day. It will be a 3 offline.
And New York continues to get lackluster production from its supporting cast. Meanwhile, 6 different players have scored for St. Louis, but now 7-8. Big 3 there, and the Archers will call time. Felicio in now once again. And that matchup with Bridges looms large. Felicio missed the mid-range jumper, not really his shot. And there they go, right to that matchup. Bridges, no. Could not hit on that 3. He's still 7-12 on the day, though.
He's been so efficient. You just expect that one's going down as Eddie Dale will get a block on Pippi the other end.
And Dale has stepped up in a big way on the defensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, Bridges, too easy.
33.
Meanwhile, Gaines.
We talked pre-game about defense on that man being the big issue. Bridges missing that 3. Still 7-13 though. We talked about defense on Bridges being a huge part of this.
Speaking of Tyler Gaines, how about that? 20 points for him.
Cut the lead to 3.
A minute 49 to go here. We're going to take a little break. My goodness. Talk about Tyler Gaines, who is a very quiet 6 for 8. If we're talking about efficiency, that's more efficient than ChatGPT writing a school essay.
Well, I'll tell you this, Cyclops. When you have a man having a performance on the other end that is so captivating, you're going to go under the radar. But certainly if you're actually on the court for New York, you should not be ignoring him. He has been efficient and effective, and he is going to be the go-to guy in these final, I believe, a minute 50 seconds. With only down by 3, Bridges putting on that performance, but New York's supporting cast hasn't been good enough. So then now is the time to go on that run.
We're seeing what you talked about earlier with Anthony Bridges, 33 of New York's 53 points, but St. Louis no player above 20 points. And that's Tyler Gaines, who's exactly at 20. They've had 6 different guys score. The effort has really been multifaceted on the offensive side of the ball for St. Louis, and that has made a big difference.
Well, it certainly has. I mean, when you have a team-based approach and you trust your guys to play as a unit, it gives a lot of confidence. And while they're down 3, they have had some really good stretches here where I feel like they've looked like the better team. It's just that sometimes on the other end, there's going to be a guy named Anthony Bridges who is set for the Hall of Fame as soon as he hangs up his jersey. So what I'm looking at for these final 2-ish minutes is just, first of all, throw bodies at Bridges. Whatever you have to do, slow him down at least. But keep relying on your guys. Gaines and Bass, they are your stars for a reason. Get them the looks they need. They can close up this game.
See if the Hall of Fame performance is awaiting here from the future Hall of Famer in Bridges, or if St. Louis's ensemble cast can down the Anthony Bridges Empire show. Minute 50 to go here. New York with the ball. And it's Tao Gibb bringing it up from the point. He struggled today. Only 1 of 5 so far. Maybe looking to get going with this drive on Brodeur. He kicks it out to Eddie Dale. Dale mid-range. Got it! Not really his shot, but he's got 6 points, 6 blocks on the day too. 5-point lead. Pippi on that alley-oop cuts it back down to 3. Gibb looking for one at the other end, and he finds 7-8. 7 points from him. 57-52. It's the alley-oop show here as Pierre Brodeur's going to throw that one down. Gibb, deep 2. No. 1 of 6 on the day. St. Louis, big chance to tie. It's Joey Bass. It's a tie game. 57 even. Meanwhile, Anthony Bridges now down to 7 of 14 from 3. He has struggled in this second half. And now St. Louis takes the lead. St. Louis, that's Joey Bass. Bridges on a missed 3 there. Rebound to Brodeur. Bass to Gaines. Gaines misses a 3. And now
Gaines has been struggling from deep outside of the game as Todd Gibb will take a sidestep 3. He'll
big
hit
3
it.
there from
He
Gibb.
made
Speaking of
that.
struggles,
But that is a bad shot for a guy who is 1 of 5 to that point.
Brodeur gets stuffed. Eddie Dale with his 7th block of the game. He has been tremendous on the defensive end. Tao Gibb looking to find Anthony Bridges here on this drive. And he gets it back out to him. Bridges up top and down low. 3-pointers, 4-point lead, 31 seconds. Oh, St. Louis needed that. Tyler Gaines with a 3-pointer. Meanwhile, Bridges
It's all
another
about
miss.
that Joe Bridges matchup. He misses there. He's been slow the second half. Huge offensive rebound from Brodeur. He gets
And
past
it is
Dale. He throws
Brodeur.
it down.
Stop
Time
It'll
out.
be timeout for New York.
Wow. We are heading to a big time finish here. 21 seconds to go. New York basketball, and they are down by 1. How about that offensive rebound by Pierre Brodeur? Not a guy known for cleaning the glass, but he cleans up in a big way there.
That was a huge rebound, and that was potentially game shifting. When we look back at it, we'll see. But that's a huge offensive rebound, and I just want to touch on what we talked about at halftime. What we're seeing right now is Anthony Bridges is fatigued. That's what happens when one guy has to do everything for a whole half. The supporting cast, we saw the Gibb 3, but the supporting cast right now, if they want this game, these final 20 seconds, that it has to be won by them.
And indeed, the New York offense, without Anthony Bridges hitting his shots, has really looked clueless. I mean, Tao Gibb, respectfully, without that 3-point shot, he has been kindergartner in calculus 2 today on the offensive end. This has been a real struggle from New York's supposed franchise point guard. Take a quick look at this replay.
Gibb is a guy who certainly likes to talk about his basketball IQ. He's not showing much of it today.
He is not. It's just a quick look at this replay as Joey Bass missed that 3. Pierre Brodeur steps up, eats out the steal check from Dale, and able to throw that one down before the timeout. How big of a play is that, Salty, for momentum?
That is a huge momentum shifter in the game as you are given a lead with 22 left to play on the clock. All they have to do is guard up on the defensive side, and you guys can be home free. But yet again, there's a man called Anthony Bridges on that other side, and you have been struggling to guard him. All you have to do is throw all of your best offensive actions, throw a double team, throw that kitchen sink, throw the clipboard at him, get it technical. I don't care. Stop that man.
Well, let's see if he gets the ball out of this timeout. 22 seconds to go. New York down 1. Big possession here. And it's Gibb. Calls a screen for himself. He's calling his own number. We'll see if anybody picks up. Tao Gibb. 14, 13. Back out to Dale. They go for the play. Get in. Baskets the steal. 8 seconds to go.
Joey
Tyler
Bass.
Gaines drives on the rim. Punches it down. 3-point game. 1 second to go. Gibb to tie.
Oh,
Man!
Tom Kim from over Joey Bass for the tie, and we're going to
Oh,
overtime.
Tao Gibb, he hit the redial on his own number and this time got a response. My goodness, 66 even.
What
We're headed to OT.
a shot. I'm disappointed in Tyler Gaines. I have to be honest with y'all. You know, that's an incredible shot, but we cannot overlook the fact that there was no shot clock. There was no reason for him to take that dunk other than for his statistics. And you hate to see a player do that.
Padded his
And
own
hey, it's
numbers
good for
the
at his
parlay.
team's expense. The Russell Westbrook special from Tyler Gaines, unfortunately. Take a look at this one again. As Gibb had this play, called his own number, as I said, gave it back out to Eddie Dale. Bass with a tremendous steal. Big defensive play. Then we see Gaines get the ball here. Tack the rim. Leaves too much time on the clock, and the Hail Mary heave from Tao Gibb. That is not a good shot by any means. Low percentage look, but New York is not complaining about the result.
Again, FaceTiming Joey Bass. Here, take this bucket, man, and I will send this to it overtime. Tyler Gaines, what are you doing?
So
All I know is that
66.
these two teams in their respective huddles on opposite ends of the court right now. Right now, what St. Louis is saying is that we should have already won this game, and everyone's looking right at Tyler, straight in his eyes, because that is on you, young fella.
It is
Not-
not the time to worry about your fantasy score. Stop worrying about your parlay on yourself and stop and win the damn game.
Vegas probably in a tizzy right now. 66 even after 2 halves of basketball. Real
Somewhere
quick,
there's a man
guys.
named Martin
Don't
Porter
want to spend
enjoying
too much
this.
time on this box score, which is pretty even, all things considered. But bottom line, who do you think has the advantage in this final minute of basketball as we head to overtime?
Well, I think that depends on Anthony Bridges. Does this timeout, maybe a few sips of Gatorade, get him rejuvenated? Because no one's guarding him on St. Louis. I'm just going to say it. Tone Show is not looking like an all HLA defender right now. He's not even close. The only guarding that we've seen on Anthony Bridges has just been the fatigue, him missing some shots that he was making in the first half. So it really depends to me on whether Anthony Bridges is ready to get back to what he was doing earlier in this game, because I really, credit to Tone Show for the reputation he's put on himself, but I haven't seen any of that tonight.
Certainly not, although better defenders have tried and failed to stop that man, Anthony Bridges. Salty, give me a prediction. New York, St. Louis, who's taking it?
Well, as I'm looking at the stats right now, I do think I would have to take New York because Anthony Bridges is a man on a mission that looks like he won't be stopped, but anything can really happen. Even the Vegas odds can't even tell who's going to win this as I'm looking at it right now.
Just as a note, the pregame odds on this game were St. Louis by a point. Gave them about a 50.6% chance to win it. So we're going to see if that holds up in this final minute. Certainly has been close so far. Regardless,
Sorry, there's
66
a man
even.
named Martin Porter shivering in his boots right now. Assassin would know.
Two halves of basketball through. 66 even. One final minute of overtime coming up here. New York, St. Louis. Don't go anywhere. This one is going to come down to one heck of an ending. So we get it going here in St. Louis with the ball, and it's Tyler Gaines, who made the play to get him here, and he misses a shot to start overtime. Anthony Bridges, meanwhile, again, misses on a three. He
Offline.
is starting 7 of 13.
Oh,
His
Bass
back
with
not
three.
slowing down
Joey
there.
Bass. There he is.
Bridges just 1 of 8 on his last. Now 1 of
Brodeur,
9 as it's stuffed by
man.
Brodeur. Brodeur, big defensive play. Bass up to 20 points on the day. 39,
Call your
38.
own number. Call
Cal
your own
Gibb.
number, young fella.
Into the paint there, and it's Eddie Dale on a big lob. They needed that one. Gaines for 3. It's good. Tyler Gaines, 6-point lead. Cal Gibb trying to create something real quick here for New York. They are running out of time in this game. Might need to look to the 3-point line. Instead, they go inside, and Eddie Dale goes up again. He's got 10. Joey Bass gets blocked by Gibb. Strains 3-point attempt. This is 7-8 on a 3, and he got it. Oh my goodness.
1-point game.
St. Louis gonna try and run down the
Gaines.
clock.
No.
Gaines trying
Gaines.
to
Yes.
not repeat past mistakes. 4 seconds. Gaines dribbling it out, puts it up, and that will do it. 76-73. Whew. Tyler
He
Gaines
learned
had
from his
everybody in St.
mistake.
Louis sweating like Coke left out in the sun. But man, the Archers recover and win this one 76-73 in an absolute nail biter, hair raiser, whatever you want to call it, barn burner. I call it a good basketball game. 76-73. The Archers come out on top.
The whole arena was silent when they saw Gaines have that ball. They were even quieter when they saw him doing the cha-cha slide, trying to keep the ball in his hand.
Well, Cyclops Salty, it has to go back to what I said, which was, is Anthony Bridges still gassed? The answer, yes, he is. He had a great game in that first half, but man, oh man, when you use one man to try to win a basketball game, that's what's going to happen. I also want to give a huge shout out to Joey Bass for calling his own number to give them the momentum to win this game in overtime. He saw what his partner in the backcourt did, and he said, you know what, I'm just going to do this myself. And he certainly did.
20 points, 12 assists, 3 rebounds from Bass on the day. A great all-around game from a great all-around point guard who has St. Louis looking like the all-around better team. 8-4 on the season now. New York down to 6-6. Plenty of time left in the year, but that's a comfortable 2-game lead, and the head-to-head advantage goes to the St. Louis Archers up to this point, thanks to Joey Bass and his efforts. Salty, one thing that shouldn't go overlooked is the rebounding and the fact that St. Louis got some really big rebounds when they needed it. One from Brodeur down the stretch, and another one previous to that from Pippi. They also rebounded well on the defensive glass here. Didn't let Eddie Dale beat them in this overtime period. Evened out the rebounding battle. Beforehand, it was not quite so close. As a rebounder yourself, how important do you think St. Louis's efforts on the glass were to their win today?
They were extremely important because the more you're on the glass, the more you get paid. The more opportunities there is to score. I would know because the more rebounds I grabbed, the more opportunities I had when I was in college, and the more I could stat pad for
Thinking like Tyler Gaines out here.
MVP. As we have to talk about Tyler Gaines though. What were
certainly
you
do.
thinking? You learned for your lesson, but
Very nearly turned that ball over again at the end of that game. That was a high risk locale here as we look at the replay. Chug, a decent defender, 7-8, a great one. Gaines, very solid dribbler, but this is not the easiest of situations to put oneself in to end a game.
Nervous when he was doing the Tootsie slide, trying to keep the ball in his hands.
Indeed, and Assassin, you've been in the league now 6 years, if you can believe it. How much of a role does maturity play for a guy like Gaines, who's only in his third? And what does he have to do to learn these lessons that you think Joey Bass seems clearly to have already learned?
6
Maturity
years,
plays
damn,
the
you're
biggest
old.
role. There's no bigger role in the game of basketball than maturity. Maturity is the difference between calling a play on an important possession and your star player just saying, I'm going to take it myself. Look, maturity was huge tonight for Joey Bass, and that's why I congratulate him and wanted to shout him out because he played with maturity. He made the right play getting it out to Gaines. Gaines made the wrong play going up for the dunk.
St. Louis lucky to escape.
When you look at the teams that have won recently. You look at the Los Angeles Stars, you look at the Boston Charms, you can see the maturity on those rosters, and perhaps that's something that even San Francisco, who has failed to get past the Stars, is missing. But maturity plays a big role, Cyclops. I think that's a great call out from you, and St. Louis should feel very lucky that Joey Bass is already there because clearly the other guy in that backcourt is not.
And the 29-year-old All-Star guard Joey Bass probably going to get another All-Star nod this year. Has played like a
Feel
franchise point
probably
guard
about
so
it,
far this
Cyclops.
season. He has played like a franchise point guard this season. He played like one tonight. Quick look at the box score here, as we talked about for New York. Anthony Bridges had 25 points in that first half, ends the game with 36, actually under half of New York's total. But New York only had two other guys in double digits, and they were at 10. So
Eddie
Jeremy
Dale, a
Jr.
double double as well. I want to mention 10 points, 10 rebounds, and an amazing 7 blocks. He did his part at least for New York.
Dale certainly was a superstar on the defensive side of the ball, very efficient on offense as well. Jeremy Jr. had a great first half with those 7 points off the bench, did not make an appearance in the second. Questionable call there from the New York coaching staff.
Well, I think you're right. It is a questionable call, but I also think the New York they kind of banked on Bridges a lot, and I think we saw that they did not look like they should have been down losing this game by just 3. If you would have told me though that Anthony Bridges was the only guy doing anything for the first half, I would have told you that this St. Louis team beat him by more. Maybe it's a good sign for them that they only lose by 3 here, but I personally think it's a bad sign because championship teams are the teams that win in those 5 and under point games.
And St.
And so,
Louis, as you mentioned, certainly got a more even effort today. Looked much more like a championship squad. You saw Gaines and Bass combined for 50 of their 76 points, but Hippie and Brodeur, along with Anderson and Felicio, contributing there. Good stuff all around from St. Louis. As they
the only note I have for St. Louis is I need to see Tone Show uh play less like Tony Snell. He looked like he was doing cardio out there.
only
He
the
ends
three
the game
rebounds
with
on the
just 3
day.
rebounds. You know, you're gonna need more than that from him if he's gonna be in your starting lineup.
And they certainly did trade for him from Boston. You have to think with the intent to bring in someone who's going to be an impact player. Can't say 3 rebounds were an impact. They may have been better off starting a guy like Colin Adams if they wanted uh, impact on this game.
Well, I want to shout out Impact, another person they traded for from the Boston Charms, and that's the Pippy Big Pippy. I feel like he's an underrated player, and yes, he only has 7 points, 5 rebounds, but he had 2 blocks as well. He plays a good complementary role to Bass and Gaines, and I think that that's important.
We talked about the importance of Pippi on the glass. Well, St. Louis on the glass in general. Pippi, a big part of that. One of the top rebounders in the league, actually led the league in rebounding up to this point in the season. And he did a great job with that in Boston. Was an all star last season for a reason. He certainly was making plays today that were perhaps not showing up in the box score as much, but his presence was absolutely felt on the court.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the makeup of this St. Louis Archers squad, even more with how Bass played down the stretch. Uh, the only question to me is can anyone stop this Yensid campaign that's going on in Chicago? Because they look special, Cyclops. They do.
They certainly do, particularly after the trades they swung for Drago and Bazzoni. That is a scary team. So, speaking of that, looking ahead now, St. Louis at 8-4. Their next matchup, a road trip to Houston, face the Cosmos, who are on a 6-game losing streak, if my memory treats me correctly. And meanwhile, for New York, home date with the Arizona 122, who have been hot recently. Then they head out to the West Coast to face Los Angeles, who, though they've lost 3 of 4, are always formidable.
Yeah, the Stars never to be underestimated.
That New York and LA game should be a good one. We may be out there for that game. That's going to end our broadcast of this St. Louis victory, which ends with Bass and Gaines smoking on that New York Empire pack. As we will conclude this one 76-73. Final score here in St. Louis. Archers triumphing over the Empire, and we will see you next time on HLA Primetime TV on Hoops League TV. For all of us here in the Hoops League office, Jay LeBron, for Assassin, for Salty, for Quality Game, the creator of the game, I'm Cyclops saying, have a great evening and don't go anywhere because we will have more HLA action coming on after this.